they give, but a lot of people make sure.
They pay theirs, some of them pay theirs zakat, technical zakat.
Right.
Imagine, think about the thousands of people that each eat.
Right.
The money they be running across,
right.
And they don't need it.
Right.
For zakat, they don't need it. You see what I mean? And they won't give us a dime. Imagine if we go out there and we pirate $3,700 just to piracy.
Right.
Just a little. That's 2% of what they give.
That sure is.
It ain't no, it's not that. And for us, we use it. I mean, it helps us run our own, right? And it's just penny. Suppose.
It's almost sad. It's almost sad. I mean, alhamdulillah, but it's just almost sad to see how many people are going out there and they not doing anything with the resources.
The whole movement is thinking of just look at the whole America. Look at the amount of people that go to the Islam meeting. Look at the people that went over there to, what do they do? They're going to have another one in Baltimore. ICNA. What did they do? What was the purpose, right? All the hotels, all the travel expenses, all of that, what do they do? Do they do any management? Do they pick a plan? Do they say we have more people now than we had? That's all the amount of people? What are the lectures about? Have you ever heard? Remember we went up to Connecticut 2-3 times. Did you ever hear anything? And when we could go into the side over there where they was praying, Siraj and was speaking and all, did you ever hear anything? Can you imagine the amount of waste? Okay. So now here we are. Now how are they looking at us? We don't have no friends. We don't have no silent or apparent support. And we're 10 times as accurate as all of them. We would say 100%, but that's a lie. We are 98% accurate on everything we say. But they won't invite us to a tea party to say this is good tea. And everybody that they got talking about drugs, 20 years ago, Siraj jumped on drugs because I showed some of the flyers. And we were focusing on drugs and how they deal with the family, drugs in the community, drugs in the individual. Outline well or coordinated programs. So they arranged a phony thing in New York with Siraj. And then Siraj said, well, the guy that was the head of all that converted to Islam at the Hajj. I don't see none of them people. And was walking in the street with the police against drugs. And then act a fool and come over here when he was at GW, one of them, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Imam, and he told me about this. It's worse than that. You know what I mean? Remember the black thing they was on for a while? Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, even the thing, the fly looked like Kenny Claw. They said one time, because we're talking about it. That's their job. And guess what? They ain't having no effect.
See, they suffer from the Talut effect. You know, whereas they asked for the Bani Israel asked for a leader.
Right.
So Allah gave him Talut. And what did they say? What you pick him for? Yeah. He ain't got no money, he ain't this, he ain't that. We want somebody that we want. That's how they got the same mentality.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad, but alhamdulillah, at least we doing what we doing.
Okay, we doing a whole bigger job. No matter how much hyperbole I make, we're doing bigger than that. Remember, because we're the only ones. And I don't know if y'all saw the advertisement when they did the Hannity thing about 10 years ago. Hannity.
I remember the Hannity.
Okay, but do you remember when he said, stay tuned, coming up next is the most dangerous man in America. Did you see that part?
I'm sure I did, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
but that's what he's saying. Because all my partners in California, they said, man, when they said that, Diamond Jim them saw it, so they called everybody. They said, man, Big Hank coming on, and he's the most dangerous man in America. You know, oh man, they was up all night talking about it. Because, you know, because we was in the pen together. And when I came out of the pen and I opened the Masjid in Oakland, all of them would come, Oakland, San Francisco, because they came to all our meetings when we was in jail. And they wasn't going to practice no Islam, but they was pro, it's good for the people. It ain't no good for me. I tell them, man, y'all ought to be, y'all here on Sunday, y'all putting money in the box, and you won't accept it. Oh man, it's good for you, man, everything. But so, I was talking to one of them when I was in Oakland last time, and he said, man, you're living your dream. Because all this stuff we was talking about in the pen when I first got out, and I would tell them, man, better kind of take it easy, getting, see a few gray hairs there. This is one of them, he was 47 then. He said, got one more, when you get it big, you got the taste in your mouth, and you got to keep on going one more time. And they go back and they get 9 or 10 years, they come back, and they're ready to just about listen then. But we didn't have to go through that. The point is I talked about crystal meth. I talked about the message for white folks, or the message to humanity. And just briefly, when we go to Oakland this time, inshallah, we're going to deal with the specifics of our the last recent 3 or 4 years. But no matter what happens in that, we're going to broaden that, and we're going to broaden the whole thing to, if you remember, we always talked about whether it's going to be 80% moving forward, you know, psychologically, and 20% backwards, you know what I mean, on this right here. It looks like we're going to do about 50-50. When I say 50-50, it's our duty, just like it says in Thoughts of Things, maybe 5 years ago or 6. It's our duty to teach what we have learned to everybody else. That was true then, it's super true now. So now think about it like this. The way it really is now, if we don't teach the people and tell the people what's going on, they're not going to find out. Till it's too late, you know what I mean? The white folks, they're going to lose a whole generation. And it's dangerous with white folks because if you don't teach them that it's not us, it's your system. See, we got the credentials. And the history, they ain't going to be, we're not going to go overboard. Like when we go in there about abdul-alim them and Mukhtar and all of them, we're going to deal with only the legal stuff that we got. This happened, this is on paper. We'll come back 5, 6 years later and tell them all of the other stuff and take it to a higher level. This has to be so well done that the people will demand, you know, the way they always get a constitutional amendment, Brown Boys versus Board of Education, and the Miranda, you gotta read, okay. We're going bigger than that. We have to teach the people not only about drugs and their effects on the community, the war on drugs, the war on black people, the war on Muslims, which are all laid out in flyers already, that we have to teach them what's been happening. And we can verify. See, remember, we can verify and clarify what we've been saying all the time. With their history, with our history, with general history, and we've said it, you know what I mean? So this is what we have to do. We have to, in other words, we have to jump on the white man. And everything that he did, like when we tried this in '73, we were just amateurs. And I remember I fought the case myself, but they had to give you, since such a big case, a backup lawyer. And actually it was a Negro, Kenneth Collins, a Negro public defender, federal defender. So I said, I told him about what was going on. And he says, it seems as though you might have, I asked him, well, what do you think about all this? He says, you might have an overactive imagination. I said, now I know they told this nigga to say this. And remember the paperwork I was showing you? I had 25 grand to get a lawyer when I went in. Then I had somebody bring another 10,000. And they was following everybody in the parking lot. And then they confiscated that. You know what I mean? And then, you know where you're in the jail and they just write on that's the power of the government, right? They just write it on a piece of paper and take it. Just like all the stuff that they was doing, they just say, oh, you just take your money. Oh, we just arrest you. That's just like the police coming in here right now and arrest me and take me to jail for trespassing. In fact, it's worse because Oakland, I got the deed sitting right there, right? Okay, that stuff is good. The arrest, not the arrest, but preventing me to catch the plane in South Africa, they wrote the little stuff on the daily roster for the people in the airport. So when they gave me the denial, they wrote it on they wrote this, that, on that, and I've Xeroxed about 1,000. The whole, I know I say either they went crazy or they're doing it on purpose, right? But whatever they're doing, it helps us because I got the whole roster from September the 4th, 2012. You can't go back to the United States. What you mean? Well, I ain't never heard of nobody being denied entry into. We're not denying you entry into the United States. We're saying that you cannot fly back. Right? So I went to the embassy and the consulate. When I got to the embassy the next day, the consular was there. Big fat guy come out. So he comes out and I see all these other CIA-looking people around. He said, well, you came to the wrong place. This is the embassy of the United States. You have to go to the Consulate General's office. And that's over at the U.S. Consulate. I said, well, I run around. Now, how did I get over there? He said, don't worry, I am the Consulate General. I said, well, I'll be damned. You know, well, I'll be doggone. Look at how lucky I am. Don't you worry, we're going to take care of you. So I go back, they call me and say, you go ahead on back to the airport. This is on the 6th. So, well, you can't get on the plane. So now I'm going to go Negro on. Yeah, all right. Now remember I said that I flew from Brazil to Africa and South Africa. So I said, get me a reverse flight. Go on the internet. Get me a flight right now. Johannesburg, Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro, Mexico City. Mexico City, TJ, Tijuana. So, and I walk across the border. I'm talking loud. Then the guy looked at his phone. I don't know what it was on. So, okay, you can get on the plane. In other words, I'm just going to use a reverse drug route that I used to use years ago. I say, so you can't deny me going into the States. You just not letting me get on the plane. I said, well, I can get a boat or I can swim, and I can't fly myself, like flapping my arms, so I just get another plane. When I did that, I'm saying, there's so much paperwork that the pattern they did it themselves, you know. Remember we talked years ago, over a decade ago, about circumstances, coincidences, and all that. Now it's a pattern. So we're going to win the case, the first case on the pattern of their behavior and their own records. As we go into it a little more, we're going to get the Freedom of Information Act. They can block it out all they want. All I got to do is bring it in there in boxes and all of that and say, this is what they got on me. I don't care if it ain't nothing on. If it's just the name of the government on the paper, right? Because it's boxes and boxes and boxes of reports, right? That proves my case. That's what we was doing in LA. What I'm telling you is all of the last over 40 years have been planned for this time. I told Abdul-Malik 20 years ago that I could go to court anytime and win this stuff for what they did then. And it's in '86. But I said no. So that was the mission. That's why I read it and I moved toward. That's why I read that about Musa alayhi salam. Is that Allah had a mission hooked up for him already. And that's the way I feel about this now. And I feel that everything is going, because remember it was 2 years ago I started talking about, what did I call it, age regression?
Age regression.
It's happening, right? Look, from then to now, I feel younger than I did then. Yes, I ain't no doubt about it. And you could tell, remember doing the cement out there? Not 71 is a big deal. But you know about cement work, right? Mm-hmm. That's about the heart. Did you used to do it?
My grandfather was a mason, so we used to
mixing cement by hand
in the wheelbarrow.
Right. It is hard, you can't do no work. And putting them in buckets.
Right. Right.
Look at here. You can't do no. When you grab somebody, tell the truth. If you grab somebody after doing that for a month, you choke them to death. Just grab it.
That's right.
You grab somebody, you snatch their clothes off. Because, you know, that cement, it makes your hands, and hey man, and every shovel you poof.
And rolling the wheelbarrow to where it gotta go.
Just rolling the wheelbarrow. Now imagine out there, we ain't got no wheelbarrow.
Right.
We got buckets.
Right.
Now remember, they don't know what a 5-gallon bucket feel like with wet cement in it. And you got one on each side, boy, look at here, you'd be a tough customer. The point is that if it wasn't age regression, then it would have affected me in a certain way. It affected me less than the other times. This is the point. And every time in history, Allah raised up people to do certain things. You have to ask yourself, if you look around in the United States and if you look around at the Muslims, who will do the job that needs to be done? Is it care? Is it any of the Masjid? Is it Masjid Muhammad? You know, these guys have been in the army and they're like, I moved toward a close. When the president of Iran was here a few months ago, the Imams, you know, they had a few of the Negroes plus the brother that was out there at Sterling. So we're going along, and finally, I just interrupted the program because the people was acting a fool. And the authority that I exuded, and nobody objected, and everybody was attentive and everything, and complimented later on, they know what's going on. How can a nigga do that? I couldn't do it. Nobody else here could do that. Who is this nigga anyway? Right? So, you ever ask, do they ever ask, would you come and teach us about the international situation of this? Right? Now, everybody knows this. Some knows it generally, and all the leaders know it in specific, because whatever they deal with, we done told half of them in specific terms. Are they going to do it, or is it our job? We have to think about it. I think it's our job. This is not a... And everybody's funny. When Imam Lukman, his wife from Tanzania, his wife was from Tanzania. They actually sent her back. But she called me and said, Imam Musa, I don't even have a gravestone for my husband. So how much is it? She said, it's just $1,100. I said, super. I said, plus and go, hustle up a little something. You know what? His son, Umar Regan, calls me. First, he just hinted he didn't want nobody to raise funds. But I gave a big talk down there in Texas. In Dallas, yeah. Right outside of Dallas. The biggest show down there. By the time I got back to the hotel, he gives, because I was talking about Imam Jamil, Imam Lukman, he calls me and says, well, we don't want anybody to raise funds for I said, well, okay, it's your daddy. But then later on, I said, bump that. Nigga can't call me and tell me, you know when I did it? When him and Rami Nashashidi and the other those, so that old daddy stuff, niggas will tell on their daddy too. Umar Regan, that's Lukman's son. Don't want me to raise money for his daddy in the community? And they ain't raising a dime? And Rami Nashashidi, he's from Chicago. When they invited me in 1990 and 91, 92, sometime back that period, he was at the University. DePaul, yes, DePaul is in Chicago. I said, boy, this boy here is talented. But I mean, because of what he was saying. Then, in Philadelphia, I saw him again in 97 at ISNA in Chicago, and he was hanging out with, you know, the white boy used to come, he used to go to GW, they used to come to, I remember there was a few white boys would come to Juma over on 8th Street. Yeah. They all are part of that Imam. That's what they call it. That's what they call it. When I saw, next time I saw Rama Nashashidi was, first he's hanging out with Abdul Malik in 97. And Abdul Malik is supposed to be he's supposed to be on the same team. You know. And the last time in Philadelphia, when the Muslim show was there, we had him come over to our Masjid, and you know, So I saw he wasn't interested in nothing. And when him and Umar Regan pops up on the movie, and it's about Muslims, and they both police, I never saw the movie. I said, forget them bonds, you know. I said, he can't stop me from raising no money for his daddy's community. You know what I mean? But then, plus one thing, we was out on the highway going to a program, and well, the community needs to pay off the electricity of it. So, well, how much is it? You know where you can pay it on the phone? I said, give me the account number. And I paid it so he can see that ain't nobody trying to hustle nobody. You know, but he was putting it like maybe we was going to try to take the $5 that we would raise and keep it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to say is, the Islamic movement, like the black movement, is thoroughly infiltrated. It's not anymore where it's some, if anybody have found any serious Muslim, I want you to get their name. I just want to know where I could meet them. If you run across any Muslim that's acting in accord with the environment we're living in and taking the deeds, the actions that they should be taking, I want to know them because I don't know any. I haven't met any. All I met is coons and clowns. And so I'm taking the title of, it says, Bill Musa is America's expert on Islamic trends, strategic management and history, historical patterns of behaviors, drugs and why. We're going to do all of those things. But we gotta help, and it's all with what it says, with the right intention. Be careful about requiting evil because it become an evil itself. That's why all love, peace, security, we ain't got nothing against nobody, and we ain't gonna do nothing against nobody. And I don't see how we can lose. And this is our time. Are there any questions or comments about anything? Yeah.
Well, you called it in '97 about the Imam brother, because I keep on their email list, and all you gotta do is follow the money. They asking for $300,000 as far as their budget is concerned, and then because that's all they talk about is, you know, fundraising, of course.
All of them charge, all the snitches charge big money.
Big money.
Hamza Yusuf now, once I copied a few of his CDs, do you know the next day, a white boy come down there and looked at the table. And the same ones I copied when I went to the program in Chicago, here come a white boy, Sufi. I thought it was legal. I said, hell yeah, they legal. And I do what I want to do. You know what I mean? Who are you anyway? You're an inspector general around here? In other words, you can't make money off of Imam Hamza Yusuf. And they charge money.
Copyright infringement.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, but they charge money. You know, there was one program in California, and I was taping Zayn. We got a brother Tay. I said, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, they because if you charge money, just like the dummy over there, and was that somebody told me that yesterday he charged $4,000.
Yeah, that's Imam Jahari Shopman.
Yeah, Jahari Shopman, that's him.
Because that's what they do, they hustlers, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's what it is. They charge $4,000 speech. The brother told me, man, he was actually like in awe. He said, you know, brother, a brother told me he charged $4,000 a speech. I said, really? Yeah, of course, I know it ain't got to do with the Quran say. We came to deliver a message and we're not asking for any money for it. And of course, I guess that ain't got to do with nothing. But that's what they do. They hustlers.
All of them, see, they polices. Abdul-Alim was getting money going down there to Irvine and other places. All of them, it's a business. Yeah.
See, I was reading one of my favorite writers today, I won't mention his name, and he had a name for those type of people. And you know what he called them?
What was that?
Theoretical Muslims. He say in theoretically they're Muslims. But the way they hook that stuff up, he said they do everything, man, to help the system, to help support it.
Yeah.
He said not only help support it, but help strengthen it.
Strengthen it, yeah.
You know, and anything they see that they feel is a threat to that,
Right.
man, they got a problem with that. Anything they see a threat to that, they got a problem. I said, well, I guess the brother, of course he wrote the stuff about 60 years ago, you know. But,
You know what?
Allah says that they enjoin the wrong and forbid the right.
They do. All of our people that we know, they enjoy the wrong, and they run close to the Quran. They act like the Quran is like maybe a comic book or something, because they tell them to be kindly to the believers, shadid, hard against the non-believers. But they got it backwards. They hard on us. They ignore us, make faces, look out their tongue. They do anything they want. They do anything they want to us. And they bow down, look here. They was in Ruku, but now they hitting Sajda. They headed downward, you know, from Ruku into Sajda. And they really feel comfortable there.
yeah.
They feel comfortable there, and they think there's something wrong with us. No matter, it's unbelievable. And talk about money, I don't even conceive of having 30 offices, 33 offices. That means you got at least 2 or 3 attorneys, you got an office staff. And to run an office is millions of dollars a year.
They get it.
Look at the money that they are having, man.
In my group, that they said, we not worrying about the money. We worrying about how we gonna keep them from taking the institution away, how we can protect the organ, or whether it was IGNO or what have you. They said they said it. We not worrying about the money.
You know, I remember I saw this one, I think it's in Surah 28, ayat 17, talks about Prophet Musa, alayhi salam. And when he had gotten away, you know, from before he run off,
Right.
from after he did the guy in, he said he made a dua to Allah. He said, never again will I ever be of any assistance to the mujrimeen, the criminals.
Yeah.
I will never assist, aid, or help them in nothing no more.
Yeah.
So that's part of, that's sunnah,
Yeah.
you know. But of course, what does that mean? I mean,
Well, see, but it's an honor. Just imagine. We said it years ago about David and Goliath. You know, that's we're the Davids. We're going up against it.